who is Frances Stewart? How is she connected to the estate of Sandra Whitehill? I assume that Norman is the son of Sandra Whitehill. And the estate of Sandra Whitehill.
Maybe.
I assume.
Here we are.
Okay, we are.
And then I guess there are two parcels, and I guess this is just one of two parcels. Right? Which parcel is it? I'm curious. Because it's a single parcel that they're subdividing into four. Where's the other parcel? I mean, I suppose it's kind of none of our business, but it seems kind of a little crazy that all of this stuff goes on. Of course, then they're selling it to a realtor. You know, which
Yeah, and none of the names in this line up with the current names.
right. Well, the realtors are the buyers.
Yeah.
The person who's well, they're making the application, but they're not the owners.
Right.
But although the owner is on all of the other things that relate to the state. In other words, the owner is the
Yeah.
DOT is
yeah.
the owner made the application to the DOT.
Like that they're kind of repackaging it for sale. Isn't that the idea that
Who, the realtor? Or the developer, you mean?
The owner with the realtor's help? Like I didn't get the impression that the realtor was going to manage the subdivision that they just wanted to subdivide, so they thought they could sell it more easily.
I'm sure.
Well, the applicant is the AFT, and they're also the buyer.
Right.
I mean, if you look at what do you call, there is what do you call it? Purchase offer here. And I think that their purchase offer it's contingent on.
Yeah, exactly. On our approval.
On approval, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Which sort of makes sense, but I mean, why else would they buy it if they can't sell it?
How big is it gonna be?
I know everybody's sitting outside. Yeah.
But is that an unfair question to ask, or is it just not in our purview?
I mean, we are required to make sure that, you know. Actually, what is our requirement? That's an interesting question.
You're the guy
I mean-
supposed to know these things.
Oh, come on now.
We depend on their budget.
I'm just running on the. Just Kate just stepped out.
Well, it could be that
What is this?
the guy they're listing is like the executive.
Probably isn't.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna ask the question and maybe they can say it. like
Yeah,
this.
all right, here it is. Verification of right title or interest in.
Oh, right.
Right title or interest is.
Covers both those things.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Well, it doesn't hurt to ask a little. Take 2 minutes.
yeah, sure.
Okay. As soon as you call him in here.
Johnny's coming, but we can have a car without him, so.
Yeah, totally. I'm surprised he wouldn't show up without saying anything.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, let's do it then.
Nice. And then
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Waldeboro Planning Board, January 8th. I don't have an agenda for the meeting. You got some agendas over there?
I have an agenda. I needed to make an adjustment to the agenda because we haven't approved the meetings for the last.
The minutes?
The minutes.
Yes, all right, so.
August. September was a workshop, October, we didn't have a meeting, and November.
In December, right, okay. All right, so first item is determining a quorum. We have 3 of 4 members, which is enough to have a quorum, but we have to unanimously vote to approve everything. Still takes 3 votes out of 5 to approve everything. So adjustments to the agenda is next. We can add the approval of minutes. And any other adjustments?
Mm-mm.
If we have time at the end, I would like to discuss schedule for producing our batch of land use ordinance changes, because we basically need to discuss that next month and then approve them in March. Okay, next up is citizen comments. Is there anyone here with comments related to something other than the subdivision that we're talking about tonight? Yes. Would you introduce yourself and?
Yes. Sally Williams, I'm following up on the application for the cell tower here in Waldeboro. First, I just wanted to thank you, the board, for already informing the applicant that there will be no waiver regarding a landscaping plan for the proposed site. I'd also like to thank you for informing the applicant that you will determine when the generator tests are run, for suggesting a silencer be added to the generator to reduce the sound impact on the neighborhood, and for noting that there might be a need for a lighting plan for any voluntary lighting that might need to be added to the tower for aircraft safety. I have some additional concerns that I want to present, however, realizing that the application process is still in its early days, right? That we still have a preliminary and a final application yet to come. I want to be mindful of your time and of the community members. So I just want to ask a few questions so I better understand the process, so I can determine when to bring forth other questions and other data that I have supporting my concerns. So on page 11 of the preliminary application, it reads, in addition to approval by the planning board and a variance, the project will also require approval by the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, Maine Natural Areas Program, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Where does this fall in the application process, and when would that information and those reports be made available for the community to review? Do you know?
I don't think that's part of our approval process. I don't think that we have a specific requirement to have that documentation. I don't think that would ever come through us.
They have to have permits, or at least a list of permits,
Right,
that they have to get. We don't determine what permits they have or need to have, but they have to show us that they have the permits.
The box check.
So,
Okay.
the due diligence is on them to get the permits they need from whatever organization they get it from. And then we need to see those permits as part of their.
So that's why they listed it in the application. Those must be ones they require. Okay. All right, so then some of my questions then are not going to be answerable here, but I want to put out concerns about that environmental process, the permits that are required. Wondering if a groundwater flow study, a rainwater runoff study is part of that process, because of, well, personally, my septic and my well, which are much closer than anybody else's, but ours are not the only one, because there is a septic between the store of the property on the other side of the store. So there's other things there that the easement road is going to be running right along. And I did confirm that we are on a bedrock aquifer, and that any heavy equipment does propose or present a risk to compacting the, let me get the word right, superficial material that's above the bedrock and or causing fractures in the bedrock. And we are talking potentially some serious heavy equipment having to go down through there in the form of loaded cement mixers, possibly a gigantic crane that would be oversized, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to make sure that all of this is looked at, because I don't really want to drill a new well right now. Mine's performing fine. Thank you very much. And because I don't know, is there a standard setback that applies to this application regarding wells and septic systems? Well, I don't mean to keep making, but I
Specifically-
pose the question.
sure. Going back to, I think it was the first question that you asked, would there be a stormwater study? Yes, I believe that that is going to be required. It's part of, actually, now that I'm saying that, is that only in the subdivisions that we require that? Is that all applications?
You can add it in condition of approval.
We could, yeah.
I would think that the Fish and Game, et cetera, all those agencies you talked about would want to see that kind of stuff too, so
Mm.
it would have to exist, whether it, because you just never know what
Right,
at-risk wildlife might like that as habitat, and, that can be a.
right. Well, just from the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna answer, your first question about setbacks. 10.28.4.5. Where it's expanded, wireless to telecommunication facility must comply with the setback requirements set forth in the ordinance. For the zone that they're putting these in, they have to, comply with the setbacks for that zone. Or be set back 150% of its height from all property. Okay. So if the setback is less than 150% of its height, then it has to be at least 150% height.
Which I believe based on the math to date, the tower does meet that, but the easement road does not as far as. Potentially as well, and there is going to be, based on the driveway connection, I understand it. They're gonna widen some of it, there's intent possibly, there's gonna develop utility poles, they may be bringing in more gravel. So I'm just curious, again, I need to protect my own stuff.
They have to follow the setbacks.
Over the road. But does the driveway we have to also make that as a whole separate issue?
It would have to be setback.
Okay. Okay. All right. This is also an environmental thing, it's an odd little thing, but there is a small brook that is east and downhill of the build site. But it's west of the Goose River that runs through the property owners land through ours. It isn't necessarily noticeable from the build site, but it is there. And it is downhill, so there could be potential runoff, and I'm thinking in terms of when they do the concrete, whatever they have to use to release the forms from the concrete, things like that. So I would want to make sure, because we, in the long run, are hoping to put animals back there on our side, and they would have access to that water. So there's that. What else? And I just put this out there because we all know that Friendship Road struggles under stress this time of year. It is hard, the weather is hard on the heaving, the thawing, and all of that. It's hard on it. Heavy equipment. I know they will need permits from various agencies to pull the equipment down in there. But is there any consideration for what long-term damage they might do to the road in bringing that equipment in?
Do you post roads in Waldeboro
Oh, yeah,
in spring?
yeah, but not
220
too
is
late.
Yeah, okay.
So we don't have anything over.
Yeah.
So that does fall under Maine DOT, but when they do their permitting process. So if I have concerns, should I call them and just ask them to look at it closely before?
Sure, yeah, I mean, I think that whatever construction equipment that they're gonna be bringing in there to put this tower up is not going to be so large that it's going to damage the roads, like, they might have an oversized trucks, but we do that all the time on our state roads, it's sort of part of the course. There shouldn't be anything required to do that that's larger than, like a crane, a track crane, to put the thing up, so.
And the only other thing I wanted to ask, and then I will sit down, is they talked about the applicant's representative talked about being able to co-locate 3 more providers on that tower once it's complete. He stressed that they were within guidelines for the FCC emissions. However, what happens when we add 3 more providers to that tower? How do we ensure that all of it combined stays below acceptable levels? Just because it's going to be all in my house.
Yeah. They're gonna have to demonstrate that in the application.
So are you saying the current applicant or each new co-locator would have to do an application with you?
Each new co-locator is not going to have to come for building permit to
Okay.
add their equipment onto that tower. So the application is gonna need to show whatever the final condition of this is,
Okay.
like the worst case scenario for total, emission from the equipment that's on the tower.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure thing. Thanks for your questions. They're good questions. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm still in my little hopeful land of it not necessarily being a done thing. So rather than the when of it, it's more the if. I'm wondering if the planning board is thinking of hiring a third party surveyor to analyze what they presented for coverage maps.
No, that's not really the purview of the planning board. We don't have the ability to spend any money of the town on the part of the town. We're a volunteer board. And our role is to approve the applications. It's a interesting question. I think that it's worthwhile to do. Because we don't have any way of understanding as lay people what is in these documents. It could be a bunch of brightly colored maps that don't mean anything, and we really can't tell. But if you're interested in petitioning the town to do that, I would talk to the town manager and the select board.
Does would it have to be covered by the town, or then we the people hire a third party?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You can hire whoever you like to analyze it. I think that's a great idea.
And I'm just wondering if there's been any difference in timing and communicated as far as what we can expect for the site walk and all that stuff. Okay, and if there was something that was going to be, so this is the January planning board. Next up would be the February planning board, so this is a monthly meeting, right? So, okay, thank you. All right.
Sure thing. I exchanged a couple text messages with the chair of the Noblesboro Planning Board, who was also doing an application for Blue Sky. And he told me that they've gone to the appeals board to appeal the 300-yard setback. And they heard arguments about it at their previous appeals board meeting, and they're going to have a meeting coming up here. I think it's next week. 13th, yeah. And they're probably going to have an up or down vote on that waiver appeal on that distance. At which points they'll make a decision about what they're gonna do as far as continuing to fight the development. So that's all I've learned in the meantime. But coming up next month, hoping to have a batch of at least draft changes to the land use ordinance that are going to hopefully make this a little less onerous to the neighbors in the future as far as setback requirements for the towers and screening and the generator stuff. If there's other concerns, if you have suggestions about things that, we can do to try to control this, certainly open suggestions, because we're all new to regulating wireless towers.
And how would we convey our suggestions?
Just email us. All our email addresses are on the town website. Yeah.
So is it something that is discussed and done in planning with the board? Or is there like a collaborative? People who are interested to get together with folks?
So we, as a board, can't meet outside of our regular meetings, because of the Freedom of Access Act, right? Is that what that's called? Something like that. basically, we're not allowed to discuss things as a group behind closed doors. So, basically, the way that this process works is we have to do all of our own homework outside and then bring it to the meeting, discuss it at the meeting. And from a timeline standpoint, the town, to get the changes onto the warrant, we have to have this done by March so that the select board in April at their first meeting can set all the items for the town warrant. And then whatever batches of changes that we're gonna make to the land use ordinance, we'll have to have those finalized and voted on in March at our planning board meeting, because that's our last chance to go do it, unless we call extra meetings, which we don't like to do.
We can meet outside of our meeting. It just has to be a public meeting. I mean, we could do a site
Sure,
visit,
sure,
but then-
yes.
But then it has to be announced in the paper that you're doing a public meeting at that particular
Right.
site.
But yeah, anything
And then
else?
everyone can come. Just can't do it amongst ourselves without the public
Yeah,
knowledge.
considered an ex parte, like communication, like in a court or whatever.
Okay.
Okay. Any other citizen comments? All right, then let's move on to this subdivision. Yeah, please.
We need to reintroduce ourselves and I mean,
Sure, why not?
Bobby Young, Ryan O'Donnell. For lot subdivision, Route 32. We should have everything in the packet that is, you're supposed to have,
It seems pretty
I
complete.
hope.
Yeah.
Lots of papers.
I tried real hard.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just going off of memory, it seems like you have provided everything that we had been asking for. Did you do a checklist for this? Are we gonna do a final approval on this tonight?
Let me go into that.
Okay, thanks.
Well, we're waiting for, I have a quick question, and maybe not so quick, I don't know, but I think it's quick. Could you just walk us through the lineage of this transaction? Because I'm not really clear who the owner is, who the seller is, who the representative is, and how that all comes to me. I know you're both the buyer and the realtor.
Yes.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
so I'm a real estate agent.
right,
And so the property is, on the open market.
Right.
We are the buyers together. This, I believe, was in an estate.
but you're also the buyer's agent too.
Representing
Yeah,
us.
that's right.
Yeah, as the buyers. I'm representing us as the buyers. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Right.
And then the purchase and sale is in the packet as well. That shows who owner of record is.
Right, but how are they connected to, if I may ask, to the original owner in that as Representative Payne? So who is Francis Stewart?
The only person that I know of is who is selling it at the moment. That's the only information that I have.
Well, they're representing the owner. The owner was originally, I think, Francis Stewart.
Well, I do believe they're all family members. And then, upon somebody's demise, somebody else has the property or what have you. The only information that I have is who is, responsible and has the authority to sell it, whether that's somebody of an estate, whether it's current record, owner on record or what have you.
It's the guy who's the representative of the estate. I think
Exactly,
that was the
it's an
language.
estate, exactly.
Right, like the executive. Basically.
Exactly.
But they representing. So you're saying that they're
So the seller is Norman Whitehill
as the
as a
representative.
personal representative.
Representative for
of
the,
the
for the,
estate.
for the estate of who? Of estate of Sandra Whitehill is who is his mother?
It was on the original,
Well, it says on the map, Senator S. Whitehill.
Right, so.
and that's what it says on here, Sandra, right?
So, and she acquired it from the estate of Francis Stewart?
I don't know that. You
I
guys
think I-
probably know
yes.
more about it. These guys are butters and have bought many cases from them.
Okay, if you can
Yes.
explain it.
Hi, my name is Adam McCready. I'm at 922. I purchased from Norman because, well, that doesn't matter. So the property that they're looking at, it says Francis on it. I believe that was Norm's wife that passed away or his wife's mother. So he's been the one doing all of the property
He's been
stuff
the
for
inheritor.
years and years and
Pretty
years and
long.
years. He's the only one that we really dealt with directly. Like I met Sandra before she passed away, but I think Francis was Sandra's mom. So it's just all marital property,
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I got some, a concern. I expressed this the last time. I've been watching for about 5 or 6 years. I work out at the gym there, and Winslow Hills Road, it amazes me. It seems like every vehicle speeds there. I mean, they speed. They go, 18-wheelers, motorcycles, you name it. And I was just wondering, I know you've got DOT gave you the clearance, but so are you gonna have, and I've driven that road, and the line of sight there is very difficult, both ways. So if these cars are speeding and this line of sight is somewhat blocked, even in the winter with bankings, how comfortable are you? So you're putting 4 exits right onto Winslow Mills Road? And what does the, I'm concerned about that.
I understand the concern, but the best that we can do is
Yeah.
that DOT knows. And is the, you know what I mean? And if they approve it and they think it's safe,
Right.
or we to, and they measure it.
So DOT actually physically reconnoitered the area and they gave it their input.
Yeah, they have to do.
I was just hoping somewhere, somehow, maybe, we could have radar control or lower the speed limit or speed bump. I don't know. But it just, again, it's been weighing on me for a month. If I were to vote yes and someone got hurt coming out of there, that would be on me. That's a burden I don't want to carry.
I understand that, and the best that we can do is assume, DOT has their own set of standards, their own set
Right.
of rules. For a reason, obviously, I would think, safety being number one, and, we just do what we need to do, and they were there, we were there with them. They did what they needed to do.
So they're, okay, I just wanted to, I mean, that's my concern. And it's a real concern. Because like I said, I've been watching traffic on that street for 6 years. And it just seems like 90% of them vehicles speed both ways. North and south, so. Just wanted to bring that up.
And I appreciate what you're saying, because I had the same initial thoughts. And I drive up and down that road all the time. And I don't want to minimize your concern, but also there are lots of other stretches on that part of 32 that do have curves in them that are actually at a higher speed limit
Right.
and have driveway cuts that are closer than these. So, I guess in a perfect world, and I don't think that's, Brendan can correct me, I don't think it's a purview of us, but the DOT to either move the speed limit sign, put some signage in, whatever, but I don't think we get to litigate that here.
I'm not trying to litigate it. I'm just
Yeah,
looking at
that's
what
what
my
I'm sure.
eyes have told me for
No,
5
no,
or 6 years.
understand.
And I am I have a moral and ethical imperative to
Right.
bring that up
Oh, no,
for my way of thinking.
I completely appreciate that. No, I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to tell you that, because I went through the same thought process when this
Right.
first came up. And this is just how my thinking has evolved a little bit in the last 2 months.
Uh,
But, take that or leave it.
Maybe more signs could be posted there.
I think so. Again,
Driveways entering or whatever they say.
lines.
anything would be, to be, even radar cars or whatever. I know it's difficult, the DOT, but they're not God, they're not omniscient. Just because they say this is okay, doesn't make that perfect policy either.
Right, right.
So I'm just saying, just because it might be hard and it might be out of our purview, that doesn't mean we don't address that. I mean, can kids live in these subdivisions?
Whatever.
So
So
can I
I
just
get-
make another comment?
Sure.
So to speak to that.
Sure.
I know that we talked about this last time. The speed is horrendous in our neighborhood and it's largely ignored.
Right.
It's great though, because we do see a lot of Waldeboro police at the Grange and we see them
Sure.
at the entrance of the industrial park. Something to put you at ease, at 922, I don't use my driveway anymore. I use kind of a new driveway
Right.
out back, which is closer to where they're going to be putting where they're purchasing property.
I
My
see.
visibility there is excellent, and the stretch that they're trying to subdivide is a straight shot. So the visibility of people going in and out isn't
Yeah.
going to be an issue. If that makes you feel better. The speeding is never going to stop until the speed limit,
Right.
you know what I mean? But I would buy that property and not be concerned.
Right.
I think to add to that, I think our neighborhood's been neglected fairly well.
Yeah.
There was a speed limit sign knocked down maybe for 2 years.
Yeah.
until
Right.
The residents stuck it back up. I mean,
Yeah, so.
you know, we can't overlook.
But every
Okay.
time we call, the police show up, they park, we
Right.
and pull people over. It's just, it's never going to stop.
Yeah.
But
At least
again,
not until somebody does.
I would not feel unsafe pulling in and out of the
Right.
driveways that they've proposed.
It's decent.
And I don't mean to sound like, I think it's a great proposal and I know we need housing. That's perfect. It's just that after thinking about this for a month, I feel strongly about that.
Every time I get it. Every time I come home from Hannaford and I drop down to 30 miles an hour and somebody's trying to run me off the road, I feel that.
Okay.
But the visibility
I mean,
isn't gonna be an issue for them.
Maybe your efforts would be better served lobbying the DOT.
Mm.
And we got nothing to, we can't do anything. That's just not. We can't post signs on a public way. It's not.
I understand that.
I have a couple questions regarding the driveways that actually on the property, not the cuts. And I'm just gonna kind of spit it all out and you can attack it any way you want to, but I'm just kind of curious where they fall. And I guess the biggest thing that's driving my question is on lot 2, I see where the test pit is and what's called the apparent brook and the wetlands. And not seeing any sketch unless I'm missing something.
Where red dotted outline is kind of, is building envelope.
Okay, so, but like where do the driveways actually fall and how do they get on the other side of that wetland? Without, what? It's,
It would just skirt the wetland and end up on the backside of it, that's all.
but then getting across the brook, would there be culverts or, I don't know.
We wouldn't cross the brook.
But. So lot 2, it looks like. If you need to get over to the test pit. There doesn't seem to be any way to get off the road without either crossing the wetland or crossing the brook.
You're accurate in the way you look at it, and it just looks different. I guess. the
And
answer-
I don't even know if you've done sketches of where the driveways go or you.
Well, we have them marked in the road where the DOT has approved them. And I guess. You could cross the wetland there.
Oh, I see.
It's a minimal impact. On the wetland, you're allowed at 10% fill on the wetland, so that little strip.
So it would come across that,
Yeah,
okay, because that was kind of the. Because it looks like you can get into a buildable plan on the other 3,
yeah, no, and
engaging with
that's
water.
that's a legitimate concern for sure,
yeah,
but like, it's a,
and wetland, what Is that, I mean, I've driven by it, is it a swamp, is it
Well, it's not.
barely a
It's
wetland?
supposed to wetland vegetation, and that's about it.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay.
And there is a description of that in the, not only the surveyor's notes, but the other attachments in there as far as the,
Okay,
about the wetlands, and that it's a.
so it shouldn't, putting gravel down there or paving it someday, it should not cause any undue issues with the environment, just kind of where I'm headed.
And if you look at the wetland on the map compared to the size of the lot, that's what you gotta look at, and the impact is very.
It fits within the range of what's acceptable, that's.
Any other questions? Should we get into the checklist here? Start with Burke. All right.
Check.
So first things are procedural items. Are there any conflicts of interest? The note here is unknown. Is it applicant outstanding? We just discussed that. Application complete. No. So findings of fact accurate. The other findings of fact. Okay. All right, so section 3.5.1, the application review documents have been accepted by the town office and were submitted on town office forms. Applicant information has been provided. Section for the application, page 1. Property location, map 16, lot 23. Verification on ownership, we have a closing date, purchase is contingent on approval. Fees have been paid. There's no cost estimate because there's no construction proposed. Start dates are upon closing. The only other permit needed here is the DOT entrance permits. Site maps have been provided. Then water and sewage, and the note says feasibility reports for all 4 proposed sites conducted in 2012, included in pre-application packet. I did not bring the old packet with me, but I have a question about that. In 3.5.1.14, we're required to have the HOP. Is that what was in the pre-application packet? Okay, thanks. We're not connecting to a sewer because there's no sewer out there. Information on traffic. There's notes about the traffic, but it's obviously not a concern. 3.5.2. Everything is on Gartley and Dorsey's drawings here. Note on the stormwater and erosion, it says page 4. Is that page 4 of the drawings here? They all have the same page number. Those are all the same.
I think. That's it. Successfully, I just.
Okay, so we do have the form, but these are from Doug Missouri.
So.
Before, in the original packet. At the first meeting,
Yeah.
the ones that we had that they provided, there were 4 full-blown. Sort of HHE 200s done.
Right.
We have had new soils test pits done, and there's a letter in there
Okay,
from who has done those.
yeah. I saw that in there, but we don't have the
We don't have the actual,
forms.
we don't have the
Yeah.
actual.
We were not having him do the actual, you're talking about the accurate designs
Yeah, the HHE 200.
until we're not gonna spend. So,
they're like $600 a piece.
$600 to $800 a
and
piece.
until we
So we knew it was gonna be.
And we don't know what people are building for homes, so you don't know what the plans will be. It's had the test pits, you know.
Okay. Our requirement here says if a subsurface wastewater disposal is to be used, and HH one form showing a new system to be installed at the site. Or evidence of an existing system could be used. Has to be provided here.
So we had the soil scientist out there, he done the test pits. The soils will support what we need to build, that's,
Is that what's shown on this drawing?
yes.
Yes. That should be in this, you know. We can have.
Yeah, I've seen the
Okay.
letter. Okay. Well, we've never waived this before, I don't think.
I mean, at this point in time, I mean, he doesn't go back out. I mean, he's done everything he needs to do. He's just gonna design whatever we, you know, if it's a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom. So at that point, it was wait until we're approved, but always keep spending more money.
Maybe that could cover through the building permit process and.
Sure, yeah, it should be required. Yeah. I don't think we've ever had one where the board was provided, Seems like an odd thing for us to be waiving.
I, not that. Like, if someone came in and presented a 20 lot subdivision. They're not gonna present money septic designs to you at this meeting. I don't think that's ever been done.
Yeah. This is not part of the subdivision section, it's part of the. It's the general standards.
And that's, no, that would be part of it. Building them, well, So,
You have to
so
come
we can
back again
subdivide
before
it.
you build anything.
we might,
right?
we might not even, we might not even put a septic on, maybe sell the lot, so.
But at
Yeah.
least we, you know, as I'm selling, you know, I can, if we happen to put one in. I can say it's been soils tested, so they know they're gonna be able to get a septic on there.
Right.
Just with that, they know that.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, you know, if you still can or not.
Well, and not knowing the size of the structure, then you. Kind of premature to have a septic design.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It does make sense to me. All right. Section 3.5.2. Stormwater plan. Kate, what does your note page 4 mean under 3.5.2.9?
Okay. 8.5 by 11 by the bracket.
I don't have these notes.
Just starting my life.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's all here. This page 4, I think.
Of the Gartley and Dorsey letter.
Well, I think that's where the Gartley and Dorsey letter starts on page 4 of how this was assembled.
Okay. So we got the direction of flow shown on the drawings. You're not doing any construction, there's no mitigation measures. Everything's draining towards the culverts. Let's see how it's. There's really any issues here. We've got all the contour lines. The technical capacity. Something that's so big. Sort of unenforceable. 3.5.2. Article 7. Then. You have a not applicable on pretty much the entire section.
I just have a quick question. Are you planning on putting in these culverts and driveways yourself, or are you leaving it to the buyer? Any proof?
I'll be putting.
You're gonna put them in.
Right. EMS chiefs have reviewed and says here they have no concerns. Archaeological and historic sites. I don't think we have a letter from the Historic Preservation Commission, do we? Is that part of the pre-application by any chance? You're not looking like that's something that you think. Yeah.
No letter, just the website that you directed me to see if it was. If that property was in that area,
Yeah, it says it's not in the
which is not.
historic district, so are there standards?
I think that's the standard in, it's in the, it's the district. The link is very specific to what districts listed in the current comprehensive plan.
So I'm reading.
Specifically list even the areas and the streets and.
I'm not sure about that. The section 7 is the general performance standards, and under 7.13, the section on archaeological / historic sites says for any proposed land use activity requiring application review in Article 3, the owner or developer shall contact Maine Historic Preservation Commission and request written confirmation. But there are no as to what it says as to whether or not the site of the proposed development has potential historic or archaeological significance. So you basically just give them the location and they go to their documents and say, you know, is there a, you know, historical site there or an archaeological significant site on the known database? And if not, they'll spit out a letter and send it to you to confirm that there is not.
Just to follow up to my other question, how deeply do you plan on going into these properties with your driveway?
Minimum 75 feet,
Minimum, so it'll be at least 25 feet in,
correct?
and then the buyer can take it from there. And same, what about power and well, the power? I mean, you're gonna put underground power into it, or it's also gonna be up to them to put their own power in?
We haven't crossed that bridge yet. Depends on how far we take each site. We may not.
So you would allow poles to be put in there if someone didn't want to put an underground
Yeah,
utility in.
absolutely.
All right, Article 8, we have an erosion control plan. With basically the DEP standards on it. Stormwater management is referencing the erosion control, which exactly. So what are you calling the stormwater plan?
That's the question.
What part of this document is your stormwater plan? I've got an erosion and sedimentation control plan from Gartley and Dorsey here. Which is
That's what that is.
fine and good. Okay, it's not the same thing.
Well, I think because of the first part of that, the narrative, I don't think he.
Yeah, erosion and control is just about keeping the dirt on the site. You know, and stormwater management is a different item. It's controlling the flows of water off of the site. So we have multiple options. There's a DEP chapter 500 option. There's the main DEP stormwater management for Maine best management practices option.
I think he listed that actually. Best man.
I mean, he's got the best management practices for erosion control in here, but not the stormwater plan. It seems like they were looking into it though, because they're showing stormwater flows on the drawing.
I think this came up the last time they were here, and I'm still a little confused about. This is a property that sat for some number of years, and there's. How can you have a stormwater management plan before you actually construct anything? Like if you create a driveway, then you have impervious surface, and then you've got to have. You know, so I guess maybe it's a chicken, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, but I'm having trouble understanding that myself. And then I guess, so I'm assuming that through the building permit process, that once you start impacting the property, then doesn't all that stuff come up through that process? Like,
To get a building permit, you have to have a stormwater and erosion.
so I guess I'm just wondering, is it premature before the property's been touched to, because if you don't know exactly what you're gonna build, then how can you answer that question? I ask you to, I ask it ignorance, but
No, that's a legitimate point because. We're proposing to just divide the land at this point, right? So. Yes, we're gonna build on it, but we could just sell the lots, so. Stormwater is doing what it's doing right now. I mean, I don't know how to. I agree with you, it's like what I'm getting at.
Well, you're doing more than that because you've subdivided it. Anyone can subdivide it, but you've also got approval from the state about where the driveways are. And therefore you know where if you know where the driveways are, you know they're going back 75 feet. I assume,
If indeed we install that,
well, you just said you were,
I did,
right?
but I'm just saying generically. Someone might not, you know what I mean, that's.
but can
Well,
you,
but if you're gonna install the driveway, then you know where it is, then you would have a stormwater plan to go with that driveway. Wouldn't you? I mean,
can you do the driveway without a building permit?
No.
No, so wouldn't the stormwater drainage plan be attached to the building permit process? Because then you know exactly what you're building, not. I mean, you conceptually know what you think you want to do, but I'm just, I don't know that. I'm just struggling with how you would know without knowing exactly what you're gonna build.
well, they know where the driveways are,
We know where the curb cuts are,
right?
right, but don't know if the driveway's gonna go in and go this way or go that way or go straight up or how long it's gonna be.
If you know where the cuts are, then they assume they're gonna go straight back.
For a lay description, I would just grade it properly. That's my stormwater plan, like every other job. There isn't a. They're just small driveways. It's not like it's a 30-foot subdivision road going in and we're going through massive amount of wetlands and putting culverts every 100 feet, and it's, you know, it's really basic. What we're doing, or what we're proposing to do. And it's just a matter of grading properly and preventing erosion. That's the.
Well, some of that depends on what you're putting gravel over. It's like, is it ledge, is it, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
I think this is something actually that we need to fix. So. 8.1 says that all new development and expansions of existing development shall provide for adequate stormwater management. Stormwater management plan shall be developed according to one of the options listed below. So a development is defined as any change caused by individuals or entities to improve or unimproved real estate. Really, but not limited to construction of buildings, construction of additions or substantial improvements to buildings, mining, dredging, filling, grading, paving, excavation, drilling operations, or storage of equipment and materials, storage, deposition, or extraction of materials, private or public sewage disposal systems, or water supply facilities. Change in land use involving alteration of the land, water, or vegetation, or the addition or alteration of structures or other construction not naturally occurring. So I would say that the way this is actually written here, it's not required for a subdivision. And that is really a problem. On something like this, where you're just cutting up the lots and selling individual house lots that are plotted onto a state highway. And it's not really any problems, you know, like it seems like there's not really anything at issue here. We just had a subdivision with the town of Warren recently where it all seemed very straightforward and we started asking questions about stormwater, and the town of Warren does not have, like, they are expressly forbidden from waiving the stormwater management plan. And they decided to do something different with their subdivision, and I forget what those were, but they wound up not providing it, and they cut it up into a smaller number of lots where they have like a 2-tier system, and on the small subdivision, the stormwater management plan is not required. I sort of tend to see how this works, but we also have, you know, like we're about to hear a proposal for, what was it, 30-unit subdivision, where they absolutely do need to provide a stormwater management plan. And that is not the way I read this, even required by our land use ordinance right at the moment. It's the construction that triggers the cause for the stormwater management plan,
Right.
which doesn't necessarily make sense to how the approval process all works.
Right, but if they're putting in,
Individual lot, sorry, I want to interrupt. Like, I've been moving earth for 25 years. And I've never seen a stormwater management plan on a building permit, ever, any town, anywhere. I don't think that's accurate.
It's absolutely accurate. It's just a question of people not enforcing rules. You know, we've had a requirement for erosion control plans on every construction project since 2003. And I just had a battle with everybody in town here who were saying, no, you don't have to require it. It's right here. It's state law.
Is a little different. Stormwater, I don't know, like.
but the problem is that if this land has slope to it, so, and it's pretty steep.
Mhm.
But, you know, so that means that if you build a 75-foot driveway up that hill, going straight up. With no erosion control, with no flood, with no stormwater plan, all that water is gonna come running down the hill, cross over what was normally be the culvert where that ditch is, that's already there. Cross over that driveway and come right into the road there. And that's and especially, you know, given that, and then wash across that road, making it more slick, I mean, it's already a fairly dangerous curve, if you will. I mean, that making it more slick.
That's my point about grading.
Causing.
The road grading, my driveways don't wash, just don't. Like, you can put a crown to it, the water goes to the edge of the driveway and it goes down where it's supposed to go. That's just how it is.
Well,
That's the stormwater plan. but I
Yeah,
guess.
it's-
Well, it is.
Great.
Well, I'm sorry.
I mean,
well, the issue is impervious surface and the driveway that my grandparents put in way back when in Waldeboro. I hate that driveway. That's why I live at the top of the property and we sold the other part, but there have been storms in my life where the amount of water exceeds, just exceeds what you can imagine and comes flying down and, there was one storm, I mean, thank God, the water parted on either side of the house and the house would have ended up in the Madonica River. I mean, and it's a long driveway. And so, I mean, I think your point's really well taken. I mean, once you create impervious surface and you don't, it's hard to imagine when you have more extreme weather events, what can happen if you don't pay attention to that. So I mean, I think when you get to the stage of having a plan where you construct, and I know from projects I've worked on in Maine and in New Hampshire that we can't get permits, so we couldn't get permits to do things without stormwater drainage. Once we created impervious surface down to the stupidest little parking lot to just anything.
So if we approve this, are they permitted then to put the driveways in?
Well, my understanding is that they have to go, that's attached to the building permit process. And that's where at least makes sense to me where these questions get solved, because then they know exactly what they're planning to do. And then you can have a reasonable discussion about whether the planning, the stormwater is sufficient, just the whole deal. But it's kind of hard to talk in the theoretical. Because I think one of the things that's a little confusing to me is when we use the phrase subdivision, purely speaking, all they're asking to do, what I'm hearing right at this point in time, is to take a large lot and divide it into 4 smaller lots. And that's called a subdivision. But in the other end of the subdivision continuum is what Brendan was describing, the 30 units and it sounds like they sort of have plans where they're going to build things. And so subdivision is really, I'm just going to introduce the word, a development. And so, I mean, I think there's a continuum of things and where that line is, where it's okay to say, yeah, you can divide this large piece of property into 4 little pieces of property, and then we'll deal with what the improvements are down the road through the processes that exist for that, or not. I can understand if you're gonna put in 30 lots and you already have an idea where all the houses are gonna go and all that stuff, where you probably want more information in advance of, whatever. So I guess it's, I guess I'm saying that all subdivisions don't seem to be created
It's a
equally
fact.
for the sake of this discussion, at least. But I am new to this, so, or new to this role, so.
I mean, the codes are there and the ordinances are there and I understand that. It's,
Yeah.
it's just.
So I'm sorry, so what's the decision that they don't need a stormwater plan? Is that what you're saying, Brendan?
Or they don't need one
So-
at this stage.
12.6.2.1.6. It lists all of the things that the plans shall show. And 12.6.2.1.6.21 requires that all stormwater control, hydrology, and mitigation features proposed for the site are shown on the plan. But you're not proposing it.
Right.
So it's not the same thing as a requirement. The way that I would read this. You disagree?
I would read it as a requirement of the show what they're going to do, and if they're doing nothing, then they have
It would
the
show
requirement to show nothing.
Yeah, right.
Right. But when you get ready to do something, then you have to come back with.
How are you gonna market it if you don't, if you can't? No, you-
Caveat emptor, right?
Well, really?
I mean,
It's not even.
That doesn't seem right.
it doesn't seem right. I think we need to rework this, but I think you're running into a problem that we just discovered this fall with some of the way that our stormwater stuff is written. I think that, since I've just undermined our requirement to provide this, I think, yeah, exactly, right?
Well, can
Oh.
with the caveat that this must be looked at by
The code enforcement
Code
officer
enforcement.
should be requiring this during the building permit process.
Right,
Right,
Yeah.
because the development triggers the requirement for the stormwater plan.
right.
And I tend to agree that a small subdivision that is providing no obvious problems, there isn't really a need for it. Let the person provide all of that information. And if it gets developed in 2 stages where we have a developer who's going to go and put the driveways and well and septic in and then turn it over to as a improved lot, then they can pull a permit, provide a stormwater plan. The buyer can buy it, provide their own stormwater plan for whatever changes they're going to make to the lot when they develop it.
Right, I mean, so that's my point is that we're only giving them approval just to subdivide, not to actually do any of the improvements that they're talking about.
Right.
They're only allowed to do that. Then when they come back, they have to go before the building officer and right, and get a permit, which will include a
But you
stormwater
can understand how that's
plan.
gonna impact buyer. Now, you've got a couple acre lot, you know, and because we're just taking this into 4 simple lots, all on Route 32.
Sure.
And even if, with all the required frontage, it's not a road into a development and the whole 9 yards. So even if you waive that for us based on whatever, however that's interpreted. Now you're saying that we have to pass that on to a buyer or buyers. When they buy a lot to go through a stormwater management and spend. How much money for Gartley and Dorsey to do on a 1-house lot?
Sure.
Then we probably will pull out of the deal because that's to pass that on to a buyer, that kind of an expense when. Yes, they're buying into a subdivision, but to them, no, not really. It's 4 lots. It's the most. Simple, I mean, I understand, there definitely is 2 perspectives of a development,
Right, right.
definitely. I mean, you get even a 15 lot, 20 lot, 30 lot, okay, I completely understand. And the developer needs to do that right from the get-go. Absolutely. But when you take this situation, for us to pass that along and have to tell a buyer, we're never gonna sell the lots.
Well, let me ask a question.
Especially
Anybody can
on that,
answer.
you know, in Waldeboro on that road, you know what I mean? It's just, it's not feasible.
Hypothetically, if you just had, let's just say that we weren't talking about dividing this into 4 pieces. Hypothetically,
We're not
you're a
doing it, but-
realtor, if you're gonna just sell an undeveloped piece of property for somebody to build a house on, what would they have to do in the building permit process in regard to stormwater to get their permit? Like,
Nothing.
That's not true. There's a requirement, and there's a requirement before the property is developed to do the stormwater management plan.
I have never done one and never been told to
can
do
tell.
one.
No, and I probably have installed 150 homes,
well,
never.
how
never once.
complicated, I mean. Like, I know what stormwater looks like for a 35,000 square foot building, cause I worked on one recently, and that's an elaborate, big process.
Sure.
But if you're building a house, I mean, I know that you gotta have somebody who knows what they're doing, do a septic design. How much more complicated is what you're talking about for a single family home on stormwater than having somebody do a septic design that they pass off to the contractor?
Pretty comparable level of effort.
So we're not really talking about,
Maybe effort, not price. And we spent a lot of money just getting to where we are. And that's obviously the stormwater plan. Doesn't include, so.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, you know, I realize that people don't like to pay for, you know, environmental controls. The stormwater drains to the river. It affects the livelihood of lots and lots of people.
I'm not arguing any of it.
No, not.
You just don't wanna comply.
It's not
Oh,
about
it-
compliance,
no.
you know, I'm a professional, all right? I comply every single day, that's my job, all right? I don't think you're accurate. I just don't.
Based on not even reading it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I totally understand that you can work in many different towns and they are not going to enforce every rule in their land use ordinance.
And Waldeboro doesn't either.
Exactly. I can tell you many stories about this. We weren't even requiring erosion control plans until
Well,
2
and
years
erosion
ago.
control is part of the stormwater, right? I don't think,
They're not
I
the
don't-
same thing.
I understand if you let me explain, I don't think you're putting that perspective there. In my erosion control, in my grading, that's where I'm creating the stormwater.
That's not what a stormwater management plan is. You're implementing a plan that you're making up based on rules of thumb and your own experience. What a stormwater management plan is, an engineer will look at historical rainfall information for the area and the contours on the site, determine the volume of water that's hitting on 2, 10, and 25-year storms, and figure out if there's going to be a flooding problem. Figure out if there's gonna be water washing out driveways, figure out how big your culverts have to be. Do you need detention ponds? You know, all of those mitigation features. I'm sure you've built them many times.
Absolutely.
Sure, and there was a stormwater management plan that dictated that those
Right,
got built.
commercial buildings with big impact and big impervious, right? Never once on a single,
Sure,
no.
and doing the study would prove that it's not required.
Oh, I mean, I just. there's
Well, how
something
many lots,
that
how many
we're
lots
missing.
have you worked on where there's a ditch at the bottom and it's a really steep hill? You know, I mean, of course, the building inspector is gonna come out, you know, when he initially approves a lot or wherever it's gonna be and whatever has to happen, including the driveway. And he's gonna look at the ditch, he's gonna look at the slope and he's gonna say, how are you gonna put this driveway in? And then essentially that becomes a question about the stormwater plan. But I mean, and it's true, it could happen at that point, but at some point it has to be done. I mean, somebody has to look at that and say, how are we gonna deal with this water coming down the hill? Because that water comes down that hill, you know, in the early winter, when it could freeze across that road as it comes down across the hill, you're gonna have accidents there. I mean, it isn't like normal, a flat piece of lot where you come in and out of the driveway. I mean, here you really have the potential for water coming down that driveway and sweeping across that road and freezing. I mean. I sympathize.
But your description of the stormwater plan for a single family home doesn't really sound that onerous.
It's not.
And therefore probably not that expensive, not like getting the civil engineer to. You know, like what you were just talking about, like you're gonna build a Hannaford somewhere, that's a whole different kettle of fish. This is. Well, and not bad information because they would probably be able to tell you if what you just described. With the freezing and the water going down the driveway would actually be probable to happen.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I mean, couldn't Dorsey come up with a relatively simple plan to say, okay, this is the pitch land, this is what we expect might come down the road. This is how we're suggesting that they mitigate that. I mean, I know it's not that
They can do
onerous.
anything for
Well.
thousands of dollars.
May I offer some input? My understanding is that you're not passing off to a buyer X responsibility, Y responsibility, Z responsibility. You're passing off the responsibility of getting a building permit. And under the responsibility of building permit is X, Y, Z, plumbing, framing, inspection, and apparently a stormwater plan as part of just the building package that they have to pursue with the town. That's my understanding based on this conversation. Anyway.
I would also, if I could add just that a potential buyer may appreciate that information because it's actually gonna benefit them. It's for the environment, but it's also protecting their asset. So if it's improperly, if there's something to be known ahead of time, then it could be saving them issues down the road.
Well, and again,
Anyway. Is there general agreement on the board that this is required at the start of construction? Based on what I was describing,
As opposed to,
as opposed to being required for
yes,
this application?
yes.
Does that make sense to everybody?
As
Because
long
although,
as, yeah, as long as it's enforced, yeah.
so I think we can move on from this and call this item not applicable. You can deal with it at the building permit time or your buyers can. All right, 8.3 hydrogeologic assessment of groundwater.
Wait, this, hold on,
impacts.
wait,
Yeah,
but can we make it a part of the thing that in the approval that it states that this is, we're doing it so long as the stormwater plan is done at the time of the building inspection, building approval? And can we make that?
It's already an owner.
well, you could do that, but it's already in the law, right?
Yeah,
Right, but you're saying that all the law is awfully flaunted, so why don't we put it into the
but
actual?
I think,
I have no objection to that.
yeah, I just wonder if. I hate to. See these guys be the guinea pigs, and I like to let the process work as written, and if we need to. As you talked about, make some amendments to the clarity of certain items. Then that. You know, like, I guess I'm inclined to trust the code enforcement officer to do what they're supposed to do.
This is a mini step between actually changing the code so that or changing the requirements to make it so the stormwater plan is necessary and then or passing it off to, this is a step between the two, where we are just saying, we recognize this is a problem and this has to be addressed, it should be addressed by them. Reinforcing the idea that it is then becomes the responsibility of the code enforcement officer. I mean, I'm just saying, but I don't want to rest my case.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's one mark that you need to come to the meeting. That's what we're saying.
Very smart, anyway.
No appointment in the afternoon. I did text him to confirm. But he hasn't answered.
Right. Groundwater impact analysis. I believe this does not apply because we do not have 2,000 gallons a day of supply or disposal. Water quality impacts. This stuff. Oh, is this where the phosphorus is? This
Yeah,
is, that's a
8.5.
building construction problem. though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Soil. Yeah, that's a construction thing. Because it's gonna vary on site. Air and water pollution, some construction, so. It's there. Aesthetic, cultural, and natural values. Flood zone, we have a map showing the flood zone, it's well above, as expected. Streams are identified, wetlands are identified. Buffer requirements for water quality. This is again, development related, so that's an NA. So Article 9, road parking traffic. There's no traffic impact analysis because this is not that kind of development. We have the DOT driveway permits. Parking and unloading are not a concern. So 4.8. All subdivisions shall meet the applicable performance standards and requirements. No, I'm on the show. Water supply, there's no wells, batteries. And protection. Not taking care, so. On the bottom. Right, 12.8.6 subsurface wastewater disposal. Site evaluator shall have certified writing that all test pits meet the requirements for a new system and represent an area large enough to support a disposal area, which meets Maine's disposal rules. Shown on the plan. When applicable, disposal preference shall be shown, subdivision plan being accompanied by. Third one shows the appropriate soils. When applicable, still a lot of work there. Six. It's always done like that. and
Yeah,
I
it's
never really
weird.
understood why. All right, application fee's been paid, preliminary plan application form is provided. We have the lot map, and all the general information. Couple things that are not on here, probably because they're not there. Location of any significant sand and gravel aquifer, location of any prime agricultural soils. You know, if that's something that Garley and Dorsey looked into.
Don't know that.
Don't know.
What number are you, what?
12.6.2.1.6.11.
Huh. What the?
If you can-
Yeah. I think, just as a condition of approval, I ask you to confirm that those don't exist. We have the habitat map in there showing no habitat. We need that letter from the historic commission. Those wells. With control. Not previous bit.
if you're further benefit.
Can't imagine this is a great pond watershed.
Yes. That doesn't look like it.
Yeah. Traffic data we don't need. Fire control proposed. Are there any deed covenants or restrictions proposed?
No.
It's statement about solid waste, I think we can. Call that one NA. All right. So. Going back to the beginning here, make a list. Where's the list? What else is just-
Starts there.
Yeah.
Decided, yeah.
All right, we got 7, 8. That's perfect.
Can we approve this pending the receipt of that letter? Are we allowed to do that or do we?
Yeah, we can have a conditional
it's just
approval
that-
that's missing information.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one small thing.
So I guess question to the board, what are we doing about the HHE 200 forms? Are we offering a waiver? Do you think this is a requirement? The septic designs.
I think that has to, my opinion, has to fall under the, when they get ready to do construction, because I don't know how you can do the septic designs, it's, the size of the structures.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
I agree.
Mhm.
But I still ask the question, what are we approving? Are we approving only the subdivision? Are we approving the subdivision as well as the, if you will, the plan to put in a driveway?
No, driveway's construction, that's a building permit.
That's a building permit, so
Yeah.
they can't, so we're gonna, so now from here, if they want to put a driveway in, they have to go to the building department and get a permit to put the driveway in. And then they can sell it as an improved lot, if you will,
Right.
and then, okay.
So, I'm not sure we got an answer to the question here. We say this is not required.
Not at this stage, not until we get into the construction or development of the property, I guess. Once they start, once they want to build something and because they, I mean, they've done a test pit for each place, so you know that it's conceivable.
And don't get me wrong, it makes perfect sense to me. It just doesn't necessarily line up with what the rules are here. So I think that this is a waiver situation. I think that we should rework this next month. Okay, moving on. That's it for the first page. We need the letter from Maine Historic Commission about the archaeological and historic sites. So we can treat that as a condition of approval. The stormwater management, we talked about that as a condition of approval. Is that still have the support of the board? Is that what we want to do with that?
This stormwater,
The stormwater management plan.
I thought we were saying, maybe you're saying the same thing, I thought we were saying that would go into the, when they get ready to develop the property.
You comfortable with that?
Right, well, I was suggesting that we highlight it and say that it has to be done to get as a condition to the. For the, I don't know what the building inspector looks at, and whether he, and that's part of his code or not.
Well, he tends to read it pretty literally. And I would assume that he would require what's in the use ordinance. But I don't know. Sounds like he hasn't been requiring it.
Again, I just never seen it anywhere. Not seen in Westboro, Rockport, Camden, Warren, Union, anywhere.
Yeah.
No, I just think that in this particular instance, it's particularly important that there be one when you're dealing with driveways, 4 driveways in a row that come down to a road that is highly trafficked and potentially dangerous if there's a lot of water sitting coming across it. I mean. simple as
Is that something we can communicate directly to the code enforcement officer from this board, our concern about that, as opposed to
We can do anything we
putting
want.
the onus on him as opposed to, I mean, they're
Well,
gonna do.
that's what I'm saying. That's why this would say in our approval that it be said, put in there that we're approving it, that, and suggesting that strongly to the building inspector that he consider stormwater in his approval of the building permit. So, I mean, he can do whatever he wants with it, but I mean, we're passing it along to him, maybe for good reason, because we're not approving that. We're only approving the lot subdivision. But we have concern about somewhere. I mean, I agree with Brendan. I think the whole thing should be rewritten so that when someone comes before us with a subdivision, that issue be addressed. Particularly when they're showing, we're gonna put in four driveways here, and that needs to be addressed by the planning board. It's a concern, it's a broader concern than just where a house is. Or how a house is built.
I think it has less to do with how the thing's being divided as well. You know, like if you're doing a subdivision of your own property so that you can give Huey, Dewey, and Louie a lot that they can build a house on when they hit 18,
Mhm.
you know, they're not gonna get developed for a decade or more. Like this sort of nonsensical to require that there's a stormwater plan
The
at
way you
that
just-
stage.
The way you just described that, though, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and the next one are right there.
Well, right, that's.
I don't understand your point.
The point is, it's the same thing.
I think.
Yes,
someone-
but that's
yeah.
not the way that the law reads.
Right.
Like, we can't just make stuff up here, like.
No, I get
follow
it.
what the law
I get it.
says.
No, I understand that. And I'm not expecting you to. I
Yeah,
just-
but,
the
you know-
Interpretations, I don't know. We'll do what's required.
But this is a commercial development though. And this is, you're dividing up a lot into 4 lots, so you can make money doing it. So I
But
mean.
It's not really, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not really a commercial development.
Well, commercial, it's not a commercial property, but I
Right,
mean, they're creating commerce by dividing up the lot and then trying to sell it to 4 different individuals or 2, or whatever the case may be. Someone could buy it, all 4 of them, I suppose, but the intent here is to sell something, and to some degree, I think we have a responsibility. And you know, it's not caveat emptor. I mean, we have a responsibility to protect the buyer a little bit. I mean, from someone coming in and just doing a bad, not you are, a bad subdivision and trying to pawn it off on an unsuspected person. They're going to assume a little bit. I think they're going to assume that the town has looked at this thing and decided that it's a safe environment to have a driveway and a house put into.
but in this case, and I hear what you're saying, but in this case, through the maps and the work that's been done to date, they've shown that each one of these lots, if they're divided, is a viable piece of property to support a single family home.
That part is true. I think they have, but they haven't proven that it can be, you can access it safely when,
Right.
or that it will safely not harm others because of the water that may be coming off a really
Right.
bad driveway.
Right. And this is the exact situation that we had in the Warren lot, where we suddenly discovered that the only way to access the one lot off to the left on that side was gonna require a driveway to go in right through where the whole site sloped in, where the maximum like stormwater flows were. And they wound up taking those 2 lots, the one lot that needed the driveway and the lot that had the big swale in it, and turning that into one lot. So that the issue went away. Because they were gonna have to put in a detention pond or giant culvert to go underneath this road and like. You would never have sold that back lot because the development cost of it was too high, you know? And, you know, without studying the stormwater, we would never find that out. And we'd wind up approving a subdivision that has a lot that just sits there for decades and you can't sell it, nobody wants to buy it, you know, and like, that's not good for anybody. So that's part of,
Mhm.
that's part of this, you know, conversation as well. All right, so I'm not sure we got any closer to answering the question here. Is this a condition of approval? We're asking for the stormwater plans.
Well, before construction. Right. I mean,
Right,
right.
Yes.
okay.
So it's a requirement of ours, or now it's not, it's a requirement of, at the time of whoever does that.
That's the way I'm in
Well,
here.
that construction
At the
includes,
time
isn't
that
just,
somebody wants to begin to improve, develop the property, then that gets attached to whatever it is that you're doing.
so if it's gonna be you putting in the driveway, then you're gonna be required to come up with a stormwater plan.
Okay. Uh. All right. So, next condition of approval, 12.6.2.1.2, we need a confirmation that there are no significant sand and gravel aquifers and no prime agricultural soils in here. I think that's it. So, I think we're at the point where we're having a vote. I'm gonna propose approving the preliminary application with those conditions. You want me to read those off again as part of this?
Yes.
All right, so we are proposing. Offering a waiver on 3.5.1.14 for the HHE 200 forms. Condition of approval for 7.13 for the archaeological historical sites. For 8.1 stormwater management, asking that the stormwater management plans be provided. When and if they are developed. 12.6.2.1.6, the locations of sand and gravel aquifers, locations of prime agricultural soils. And that's it. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. So,
That was easy.
yeah. There's no blood anywhere. Everybody's fine. Are we gonna try to do a final on this? We're not that far away. How does the board feel about doing a final approval? We only need a couple of things. We can do those conditions, right?
Okay.
All right. We have a separate checklist. 12.7.2.1. So, we need a receipt from the town indicating fees been paid, the final application form. And all required attachments and maps. All the preliminary plan, all the conditions and modifications approved by the planning board. shall be contained on the final plan. We're asking for no changes to the documents as to like the design documents, right? So there really aren't any changes to be made. It's really just the missing documentation,
Sure.
right? All waivers approved by the planning board shall be shown on the final plan. That's fine. You have a signature block. You don't need a performance guarantee. The location and type of the markers, I'm sure is shown, yes it is. We don't have any private roads. Well, this one, I don't recall saying this one. Written copies of any documents of land dedication and written evidence that the Board of Selectmen is satisfied with the legal sufficiency of any documents accomplishing such land dedication. Interesting. Any conditions on the final plan by the planning board shall be clearly listed on the plan. Planning board imposed conditions shall be listed separately from any covenants or restrictions placed on the subdivision by the applicant. So we can note our conditions of approval on the conditions of approval block. And then the last thing is appropriate documentation from DEP or other state or federal agencies shall be provided with the final plan for any proposed disturbances to water bodies. We don't have that. So I will again move to approve this final application with a waiver for the HHD 200. Condition of approval for the letter for the architectural historic sites. The condition of approval for the stormwater management plans. And the condition of approval to confirm that there are no significant sand and gravel aquifers and no prime agricultural soils.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Yeah, abstain.
You good?
Thank you, Bill.
Sure thing. We'll fill this out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will, for sure.
Oh, should I include the waiver on the conditions of approval block or not? Don't know. You could probably tell.
No, the other waivers are included.
Okay, perfect.
We don't include all of them, so just the conditions.
All right, I guess let's do this after we adjourn the meeting. So meeting minutes, we got 15 minutes left. We have 3 sets of meeting minutes to approve.
I'd love to have a wood stove in this round.
They're working on fixing the heat.
Okay.
They've been working all week on fixing the heat.
Seems fine to me.
Yeah,
Last time we didn't have any heat at all, so it's an improvement.
yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, it's good for a while, but it starts to,
It is chilly.
yeah.
I have a copy of each of the sets of meeting minutes if people haven't read them.
I've read them.
I'll set.
Okay. I'll move to approve all of these meeting minutes, December 11, 25. November 13, 25 and August 14, 25.
Second.
All in favor? Fantastic. Okay, do we have applications for next month?
We do, we have, Topsail Farm is coming before you to talk about expanding from a small campground to a large campground.
Right.
And, they're
is potential for, that application is in hand indefinite. There's also potential for, application for a mixed use. Building, commercial building.
Okay.
At a different location, those two different things.
Different things, yeah.
Okay.
When's the,
That's gonna take up that whole meeting.
probably, yeah.
Well, how do we feel about talking about land use ordinance changes?
I know.
Well, I mean, no, it's 8 o'clock, you know, but like, we can't,
But generally speaking.
we like, we need to have a meeting to talk that stuff out,
Just,
right?
yeah, dedicated to just that.
Oh,
Should we have a workshop in February?
That's what I was wondering, or maybe later this month.
either way,
I mean, you're gonna be away. When are you away?
the 14th,
Okay, then you're back in the spring?
April 3rd.
Okay.
I'm gonna be gone in February too, for
Okay,
2 weeks.
Wow. I don't go away till March, so.
All right, Johnny, are you gonna be at the February 12th meeting, or are you gone before then?
I'm leaving February 18th to 14 days.
So you'll be here for that, you'll be here. for
When's the next meeting?
The 12th.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, I'll make that,
But just looking at the possibility of adding
February 12th.
to do that.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we can't have a meeting without a quorum.
I mean, I'd be willing to meet on Zoom, but I'm 6 hours, gonna be 6 hours ahead of you. That's a problem for me. So if we could find a different meeting hour, I'd be happy to attend, at least a couple hours earlier.
Yeah, sure.
What if you and Kate look at, you know, just sort of propose, are we allowed via email some, like, here's 4 possible dates and times?
Yeah, yeah. I think we should do that,
And
and
then-
then we put out a public notification that we're gonna have a hold the meeting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That's fine.
my calendar is, you know, hit and miss, like there are, in other words, there are days that I would rather not have a board meeting, but I'll
Sure.
be around, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm pretty flexible. You work daytimes all the time, right? So evening is better.
Work today?
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
Can we do it on a Saturday, earlier in the day, if you're working?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is that a possibility, Johnny?
If you get some dates out, just so I
Yeah.
can,
It'd be
because my
better to have
schedule
dates
is
out.
like crazy,
Okay.
crazy busy.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's try to do that. Let's try to have a
Right.
public meeting on Zoom and we'll,
Can we have it in person and Zoom in whoever can't show up?
sure, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as long as we can access the building and someone's here to run the equipment for us. Yeah, sure. All right. Well, let's kick that can down the road then and we'll talk about all that stuff then. All right. Well, I'm gonna move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Nice.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody.
Oh, for trying to find the.
Oh, yeah, yep.
I'm so glad that we are doing the.
Oh. Oh.